Welcome boys and girls, Christine here with a discussion about Total War Warhammer 3, Immortal Empires, which will be available to everyone that owns Warhammer 1 and 2 from December 4th. From Creative Assembly's blog, they're excited to announce that on December 4th, it will become available to all owners of the previous Warhammer games. They're also doing the Lost God Prologue campaign to be available for previous game owners. Warhammer 3 will be automatically added to your library with Immortal Empires and Lost God campaigns unlocked. If you already own Warhammer 3, nothing will change for you. They're doing this because they're celebrating 25 years of Total War and look ahead to Warhammer's 10th anniversary in 2026. We wanted to do something special because of our passion and support for this trilogy has made Immortal Empires possible. And of course, they do go into some of the details, but of course there's a lot more questions on how this will work and what's changing. But there is an FAQ, the date that's happening, will it be a standalone game? No, you must either own Warhammer 1, 2, or 3 in order to access Immortal Empires. You can purchase DLC from the trilogy regardless of the game you own, but obviously, you need to own one of them at the very least. Or you need to own the specific game for that DLC, I guess. Now, there's all kinds of different perspectives on this, but yes, the primary reason they're doing this is for marketing reasons. If we go into the details of what's been going on with Total War, their 25th anniversary situation hasn't worked out perhaps as much as Creative Assembly wanted it to. Turns out, a lot of people are not quite interested in hearing stories about Total War Pharaoh and other video games. And as someone who's actually enjoyed Total War Pharaoh Dynasties, I can understand why. That is part of the issue. So their whole 25th anniversary situation combined with the review bombing that happened in October has certainly reduced player interest in the game. And they're just about to launch a big DLC that they spent 1 year working on. They're also going to announce new games. So they do want that kind of media attention on that. They might also be looking to do a couple of different things. There's different possibilities depending on how you want to read the situation. One way is that you can look at this and say, okay, so they're making the game available to more people. That means they've got something planned for Warhammer 3. Could be an expansion, Nagash, for instance, End Times, you name it. They are looking to increase the player base of Warhammer 3, get more people playing it than there are already. Maybe some discounts will be rolling alongside all of this. Understanding marketing. But basically, yes, they do want to increase their player base for the game, sell more copies, and it's not necessarily directly related to Tides of Torment, though it could very well be related to Tides of Torment. The details of how we buy DLC, and in particular things like Sinnelleos DLC, that I think will be important. Like, let's say you don't own Warhammer 3, but you buy Tides of Torment. To what do you get access to? You wouldn't get access to, say, Nakari, but you have Warhammer 1, we get a Norska DLC. Well, you'll be able to play Norska, and I guess you'll have pretty much all the content that Norska has in the game at the moment. Makes sense. There is, of course, more on the subject, because there's another way of viewing it. Tides of Torment is not going to do very well. Any company worth anything can look at their internal metrics. They know how people feel about various things. And regardless of how some of you might feel on the situation, it could just be an indication from Creative Assembly's perspective that they know Tides of Torment is not necessarily going to deliver as much as they wanted to. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of why I think that, because, situation. But I said this months ago, so I can talk about anything that's public or, public information, analyze that. Basically, the decision that CA made months ago to focus the DLC on, or a year ago really, to make the DLC Norska/Slanesh and High Elves was not necessarily going to pan out as much as they thought. Now, I guess it makes sense from a perspective to do a Warhammer 1 race, a Warhammer 2 race, and a Warhammer 3 race. Because remember, Norska is a Warhammer 1 race. Makes a level of sense. Maybe they should have done vampire counts then. I'm just saying, wouldn't have fit the whole Tides of Torment theme, but yeah, I'm not quite sure the Kala necessarily fits that. Just saying, like what they've shown of her campaign in public, etc. I mean, naval themed DLC, yes, but Aislinn is the only thing they've shown so far that's naval themed. The Kala, just because she starts in a location that currently is a port, does not mean she's naval focused. You look at the campaign they showed, she's fighting on land a lot. So, yeah, maybe not the best name right there. But obviously the name is because High Elves, naval focused, Norska, naval focused, the Kala, less so, but that's more like we need to do every mono god situation. But the selection of races doesn't necessarily make sense, because you only have one very popular race, then you have two races far less popular, Norska and Slaanesh. So it kind of undermines a DLC, unless you do something like this, where people who never bought Warhammer 3, but who do own Warhammer 1 or Warhammer 2, they have access to Norska, and now you can get them playing Warhammer 3 indirectly, and you get them as customers, you get them to buy various DLCs. That's what CA is doing right now, from my perspective. Could be a question of the quality of the DLC, could just be the market conditions of various things. You can take that 1,000 different ways. I have my perspective on what it is, but just genuinely, my view, those three races they picked make a whole lot more sense now that they've announced this than when they previously announced it. Because if you ask me what they should have done, and I've said this months ago, they should have done, if they were going to do a naval focus DLC, they should have done Vampire Coast or Dark Elves or anything. Just not Norska plus Slaanesh or High Elves. It's just that combination. But with this, things do suddenly make sense. And you can bet that this decision was probably made a while ago. Or it wasn't made a while ago, but they realized if we don't do something good, well, our 25th anniversary didn't go the way we wanted it to. People are not interested in that DLC. Okay, let's get that consumer base. Let's get that player base. Let's open the floodgates. And we might be able to salvage something out of it. You can guess which one it is. Could be either, really, from my point of view. I do believe that certainly Creative Assembly's situation and planning was derailed several times already this year. So if you're telling me that they planned this a year ago, I don't think so. If you're telling me they may have planned this the moment they delayed Tides of Torment the first time, I can believe that, because there's a reason they did so internally. I don't know what it is. I can only guess as to the reason, but maybe market conditions, maybe DLC problems, who knows. Only CA can talk about that. Would be interesting to find out at one point exactly why. We can only guess, right? CA Sofia buying off more than they can chew, various internal issues, lack of planning, lack of focus. The rabbit hole goes deep. But that's my read on that situation. Let me know what you guys think about it all. Kostin signing out.